Hey there, what's up? Tired of sounding repetitive and boring when you try to speak English? Ever feel like your ideas get lost in the middle of so many "I think"? Picture this. You're in a super important conversation, wanting to impress, but the only thing that comes out of your mouth is "I think, I think, I think." Terrible, right? It seems like your fluency just disappears. The truth is, this crutch is addictive and may be sabotaging your English without you even realizing it. But don't worry, because today on Learn English Secrets, I'm going to show you the forbidden secret that will free you from this trap. I'm going to show you amazing alternatives and show you how to use each one in the right context, whether in a casual conversation or a formal presentation. Get ready to unlock your vocabulary and boost your communication in English. Your English will never be the same. And if you want to master English once and for all and discover all the secrets that school doesn't tell you, you know the drill. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. Get ready to discover the Learn English secrets that will transform your journey in English. Get ready to unlock your English once and for all and achieve the fluency of your dreams. So, let's go! I think. Hey there, what's up? If you've made it this far, it's because, like me, you're always looking to boost your English, right? Today, we're going to talk about something that, believe it or not, makes all the difference when it comes to expressing yourself. How to avoid the super famous "I think" all the time. Seriously, how many times have you caught yourself using "I think" in every sentence when you try to give your opinion in English? Like, "I think this is a good idea. I think we should go there. I think, I think, I think." Relax, take it easy. We do this without realizing it. It's super common, especially when we're starting to venture into the language. But the truth is that repeating "I think" all the time can make your conversation kind of repetitive, boring, you know? The good news is that there are a lot of other ways to express your opinion in English, and that's what we're going to see today. The idea is to give you some options so you can vary your vocabulary, make your speech more interesting, and show that you have command of the language. Think with me. The richness of a language is precisely in the variety of expressions it offers. The more options you know, the easier it is to adapt to different situations and audiences, and, of course, the more interesting your communication becomes. So, if you're tired of sounding repetitive and want to give your fluency a boost, stay tuned. Let's explore alternatives that will help you get out of the sameness and express your opinions in a much more creative and confident way. And look, it's not just about seeming more interesting, but also about being clearer and more assertive in what you want to say. Sometimes "I think" can even give the impression that you're not very sure of what you're saying. So let's learn how to use other tools to show that you have conviction in your ideas. During this video, we're going to see how each expression fits into different contexts, from more formal situations to super informal conversations with friends. We're going to understand the nuances of each one of them, and, most importantly, we're going to practice. After all, there's no point in learning a lot of new words if we don't put our hands in the dough, right? And finally, I want to show you that mastering these alternatives is not just about avoiding repetition, but also about understanding how the English language really works. It's about connecting with the culture behind the language and feeling more comfortable expressing yourself in any situation. Prepared to learn a little more today? Limitations of "I think." Let's get straight to the point. Why do we need to avoid "I think" at all costs? The answer is simple: excessive repetition. Imagine you're listening to a song that has the same note repeated over and over. It's tiring, right? With speech, it's the same thing. Using "I think" in every sentence makes your speech monotonous and predictable. And it's not just a matter of fatigue. Excessive repetition can impair the clarity of your message. When you use "I think" all the time, it may seem like you don't have much confidence in what you're saying. And then, the person listening to you may start to question the validity of your opinion. You know when you're trying to explain something important, but you keep rambling and using vague words? That's more or less what happens when we abuse "I think." The message loses strength and the impact decreases. In addition, the limited use of other expressions hinders the understanding and expression of opinions in a varied way. You end up getting stuck in a single way of communicating, which prevents you from exploring all the nuances of the language. Think with me. The English language is rich in synonyms and idioms. Using only "I think" is like having a case full of colored pencils and using only the blue one. You are missing the opportunity to create a much more colorful and interesting picture. The diversification of expressions allows for more fluid and engaging communication. When you have more options up your sleeve, you can adapt your speech to the context and audience, making the conversation much more dynamic and pleasant. And what happens when you feel more comfortable expressing yourself? Your confidence increases. And when you're confident, the words flow more easily and your message becomes much clearer and more impactful. So, what we want here is to give you the tools so that you can express yourself with more freedom and creativity. We want to help you build a rich and diverse vocabulary so that you can feel safe in any situation. And look, this search for alternatives is not just about avoiding "I think." It's about becoming a more effective communicator, a more confident English speaker, and a more active participant in conversations and discussions. Now, I want to know from you. In what situations do you feel that "I think" limits you? Have you ever stopped to think about how this expression may be preventing yourself from expressing yourself in the best possible way? Tell me in the comments. I want to know your opinion and help you overcome this barrier. And remember, the path to fluency is a marathon, not a 100-meter race. Each small step you take brings you closer to your goal. So don't be discouraged. With a little practice and dedication, you will master these alternatives and transform the way you communicate in English. From my point of view. Now that we understand why it's important to avoid "I think," let's start exploring some super useful and interesting alternatives. The first one is "from my point of view," which means "in my opinion." This expression is great because it makes it clear that you are expressing a personal point of view, an individual perspective. And the best thing is that it can be used both at the beginning and at the end of the sentence, adapting to the rhythm of your speech. For example, you can say, "From my point of view, this is the best option," or "This is the best option from my point of view." See how easy it is? And it doesn't stop there. You can use this expression to refer to the point of view of other people as well. For example, "From Patrick's point of view, the project was a success." This flexibility is super important because it allows you to vary the structure of the sentence and avoid repetition. In addition, it shows that you have command of the language and that you can express yourself in different ways. Now, let's talk about how this expression helps to reinforce the subjectivity of your opinion. When you say, "from my point of view," you are making it clear that what you are saying is based on your experience, your beliefs, and your values. And this is very important because people tend to value more opinions that are expressed with authenticity and sincerity. When you show that you are speaking from your heart, people connect more with your message. In addition, this expression gives you a certain freedom to express opinions that may be controversial or unpopular. By making it clear that you are speaking from your point of view, you reduce the likelihood of generating conflicts or heated discussions. So, next time you give your opinion in English, try using "from my point of view." You will be surprised by the impact this small change can have on your communication. And look, this is just the first alternative we are exploring. Throughout this video, you will discover many other ways to express your opinion in English, each with its own nuances and particularities. So stay tuned. We still have a lot to learn together. And remember, practice makes perfect. The more you use these expressions, the more natural they will become, and the easier it will be for you to express yourself with confidence and fluency. If you ask me. Ready for another amazing alternative to leave "I think" in the past? So get ready to meet "if you ask me," a super casual expression that we use to give unsolicited opinions. You know, when you're in a circle of friends and suddenly you feel like you need to give your 2 cents on a subject? That's where "if you ask me" comes into action. This expression is perfect for those moments when you want to give your opinion even if no one has asked you anything. But relax, it's not about being intrusive, you know? The idea is to participate in the conversation in a light and fun way. And the best thing is that "if you ask me" is super versatile. Just like "from my point of view," you can put it both at the beginning and at the end of the sentence. For example, you can say, "If you ask me, that movie was terrible," or "That movie was terrible, if you ask me." Now, let's talk about how this expression makes your speech more light and natural. When you use "if you ask me," you are showing that you are not taking yourself so seriously, and that you are open to different points of view. And this is very important, because people tend to feel more comfortable talking to someone who doesn't think they own the truth. When you show that you are willing to listen to other opinions, you create a more welcoming and conducive environment for dialogue. In addition, this expression can be useful to soften criticisms or controversial presentations. By saying "if you ask me," you are indicating that what you are saying is only your opinion, and that other people may have different opinions. For example, imagine you need to give negative feedback to a coworker. Instead of saying, "I think your presentation was bad," you can say, "If you ask me, your presentation could be improved." See how the second sentence sounds much softer and friendlier? "If you ask me" helps you express your opinion honestly, but without being rude or offensive. And look, this expression is not just for formal situations, you know? You can use it in conversations with friends, family, and even strangers. The important thing is to use it in moderation and with good sense, so it doesn't seem like you're trying to impose your opinion at all costs. So, next time you're in a conversation and feel like giving your 2 cents, try using "if you ask me." You will be surprised by the impact this small change can have on your communication. As far as I'm concerned. We have reached an expression that will help you shine in more formal environments. As far as I'm concerned. This beauty means something like "as far as I'm concerned," or "as it concerns me." You know those situations that ask for a more serious and structured tone? Work presentations, academic debates, important meetings. That's where this expression comes into play. Unlike the more casual alternatives we saw before, "as far as I'm concerned" conveys a sense of respect and clarity. It shows that you have thought well about the subject and that you have a well-defined opinion. And just like the other expressions we learned, this one is also super versatile. You can use it both at the beginning and at the end of the sentence without losing formality. For example, "As far as I'm concerned, this is the best course of action," or "This is the best course of action as far as I'm concerned." To give you an idea of how this expression works in practice, imagine that you are participating in a meeting to discuss the results of the last quarter. You can use "as far as I'm concerned" to express your opinion about the strategies that should be adopted for the next period. As far as I'm concerned, we need to invest more in marketing. Do you notice how this sentence sounds much more professional and confident than a simple, "I think we should invest more in marketing"? The right choice of words makes all the difference in the way your message is received. Now, let's talk about how the use of this alternative can convey respect and clarity in formal situations. When you use "as far as I'm concerned," you are showing that you care about the subject and that you are willing to contribute with your expertise. And this is very important, because people tend to value more opinions that are expressed with conviction and professionalism. When you show that you are prepared and that you have knowledge about the subject, people feel safer to trust your ideas. So, if you are looking for a way to adapt your vocabulary to different environments, "as far as I'm concerned" is the perfect choice. It helps you communicate with clarity and respect, conveying an image of professionalism and competence. And since we're talking about professionalism, how about leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying the tips? This way, you show me that the content is being useful and encourages me to bring even more tips for you to boost your English. As far as I can tell. You know when you want to give your opinion, but you don't want to seem like you own the truth? Then, "as far as I can tell" is the solution. It's perfect for those moments when you want to be honest about your level of knowledge. This expression is great because it shows that you are being careful and thoughtful. You are not throwing information into the air without thinking. You are showing that you have evaluated the situation with the information you have. It's as if you said, "Look, I don't know everything, but with what I know, this is what I think." Imagine that a friend asks you about a new restaurant in town, and you answer, "As far as I can tell, the new Italian place is amazing. I heard the pasta is homemade." The beauty of this sentence is that you are not categorically stating that the restaurant is the best in town, but you are sharing what you heard, and from what you know, the experience should be positive. This subtlety makes all the difference. Using "as far as I can tell" is also a great way to avoid conflicts. If you don't have all the facts, but you need to give an opinion, this expression softens your statement. It shows that you are open to other information and perspectives. For example, if someone asks you about the performance of a coworker, you can say, "As far as I can tell, he's been doing a great job on the project." You are not giving a complete evaluation, but you are offering an opinion based on what you have observed. It's important to remember that "as far as I can tell" is not to be used when you are absolutely sure of something. If you have all the facts and evidence, go ahead and declare your opinion with confidence. But when there is a margin of doubt, this expression is your ally. In addition, intonation makes all the difference. Use a tone of voice that conveys honesty and openness. Nobody wants to sound like they are hiding something or being evasive. Be sincere and make it clear that your opinion is based on what you know so far. And then, ready to use "as far as I can tell" and rock your conversations in English? I would say, it's time to learn an alternative that is pure charm for everyday life. I would say, you know when you want to give that little opinion of yours in a smooth way without seeming like you are giving an order or being super incisive? Then this is the perfect expression. Literally translated, it would be something like "I would say," but the vibe is much more relaxed and friendly. "I would say" is like that warm hug in a conversation. It allows you to express what you think in a gentle way, showing that you are giving a guess, a suggestion, and not decreeing an absolute truth. It's ideal to use with friends, coworkers, or even in more formal situations when you want to be a little more accessible. Imagine the scene. You are talking to a friend about which movie to watch on the weekend, and he asks you what your suggestion is. Instead of sending a "you have to watch this movie," which sounds kind of bossy, you can drop a "I would say we should watch the new action movie. I heard it's awesome." Do you notice how the sentence becomes more inviting and less imposing? It's as if you were opening space for other opinions and showing that it's okay if the person doesn't totally agree with you. And it doesn't stop there. "I would say" is also great for softening criticisms or giving constructive feedback. Instead of arriving with a "this presentation was terrible," you can start with "I would say the presentation could be improved with more visuals." The difference is huge, right? You are pointing out a weak point, but in a much friendlier and more receptive way. And there's more. "I would say" is super versatile and can be used in various situations. Do you want to give your opinion about a book, a restaurant, a clothing, a project? Just put the "I would say" in front and done. Your sentence gains a touch of lightness and informality that makes all the difference. Remember, the key is naturalness. Use "I would say" as if you were really talking to a friend, without forcing the bar. And, of course, pay attention to your tone of voice and your body language to convey confidence and sincerity. With a little practice, you will master this expression and use it with mastery in all your conversations in English. Use in formal environment. And then, prepared to raise the level of your English in more serious environments? Let's talk now about how to use alternative expressions to "I think" in formal situations, such as work presentations, important meetings, or even in academic texts. Because, let's face it, "I think" can sound a little weak and too informal in these contexts, right? In formal environments, clarity and authority are fundamental. You need to convey confidence and show that you dominate the subject, and the choice of the right words makes all the difference. One of the best alternatives to use in these cases is "as far as I'm concerned," which we have already seen here. This expression has a greater weight and demonstrates that you are speaking with conviction, based on your knowledge and experience. For example, instead of saying, "I think the data suggests a positive trend," you can say, "As far as I'm concerned, the data clearly indicates a positive trend." Do you notice how the second sentence sounds stronger and more confident? Another important tip is to avoid very informal expressions or slang in formal environments. Prefer more precise and elaborate words. Instead of saying, "If you ask me, this project is gonna be a disaster," you can say, "In my professional opinion, this project requires significant revisions to ensure its success." The difference is blatant, right? The first sentence sounds somewhat amateurish, while the second demonstrates professionalism and knowledge. Now, a golden tip. Always adapt your language to the audience and the context. If you are talking to a group of experts, you can use more technical and complex terms. But if you are presenting to a wider audience, try to simplify the language without losing precision. And of course, practice. The more you use these expressions in real situations, the more natural and confident you will feel. Record yourself speaking, ask for feedback from friends or colleagues, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. The important thing is to continue learning and improving your communication skills. And speaking of improving skills, tell me in the comments, what was the most formal situation in which you had to use English? Share your experience, and let's exchange tips together. After all, learning in community is always more fun and effective. Now let's put these tips into practice and rock all your presentations and meetings in English. Use in informal environment. It's time to relax and learn how to use alternatives to "I think" in informal environments, such as conversations with friends, chats in a bar, or even in text messages. Because, let's face it, nobody wants to sound like a robot in a happy hour, right? In informal situations, naturalness and fluidity are the key to effective communication. You want to connect with people, express your opinions authentically, and above all, have fun. Expressions like, "if you ask me," and "I would say," which we have seen before, are perfect for these moments. They add a touch of lightness and informality to your sentences, showing that you are relaxed and comfortable. For example, instead of saying, "I think this pizza is delicious," you can say, "If you ask me, this is the best pizza in town." Or, if a friend asks you what you think of his new girlfriend, you can answer, "I would say she's totally your type." The important thing is to use a friendly and relaxed tone of voice, as if you were talking to a longtime friend. Avoid very formal words or complex sentences, unless it is to make a joke or create a comedic effect. By the way, humor is always welcome in informal environments. Use it in moderation and with good sense, of course, but don't be afraid to make jokes, tell funny stories, or use sarcasm to make the conversation more interesting. Another important tip is to pay attention to body language. Smile, make eye contact, gesture with your hands, and show that you are engaged in the conversation. Communication is not just about what you say, but also about how you say it. And, of course, don't forget to listen. Show genuine interest in what other people have to say, ask questions, give feedback, and actively participate in the conversation. After all, a good chat is a two-way street. So, next time you are in an informal environment, let your tongue loose. Use the alternatives to "I think" with confidence, and have fun. Remember, the goal is to connect with people, express your opinions authentically, and create memorable moments. Recapitulating. So, today we saw several amazing alternatives, such as, "from my point of view," "if you ask me," "as far as I'm concerned," "as far as I can tell," and "I would say," each with its charm and specific application. The great trick is to understand that the variety of expressions enriches your communication and allows you to convey your opinions in a more precise, interesting, and authentic way. It's not just about avoiding repetition, but about mastering different nuances and adapting your language to the context and audience. Now, what to do with all this knowledge? The answer is simple. Practice, practice, and practice. Start incorporating these alternatives into your daily conversations, whether with friends, coworkers, or even in your thoughts. Experiment, take risks, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Remember, fluency comes with constant practice and the will to learn. A great tip is to create an expressions notebook and write down all the alternatives you have learned. Review it regularly and try to use them in different situations. Another suggestion is to watch movies, series, and videos in English and pay attention to how native speakers use these expressions. Write down the phrases that catch your attention and try to imitate them. In addition, look for opportunities to practice your English with other people. Participate in conversation groups, take online classes, find a tandem partner, language partner, and put into practice everything you have learned. Remember, consistency is fundamental. Don't expect results overnight, but trust the process and celebrate every small victory. With each new expression you master, with each conversation in which you feel more confident, you will be closer to reaching your goals. And, above all, have fun. Learning English can be a challenging journey, but also incredibly rewarding. Enjoy every moment, explore new worlds, and connect with incredible people. With dedication, passion, and the right tools, you can transform the way you communicate and open doors to opportunities you never imagined. So let's put these tips into practice and rock in English. Conclusion. And then, folks, we've reached the end of another super useful video to boost your English. Together, we unraveled how to leave I think aside and rock with amazing alternatives. We saw that varying expressions not only helps you sound more interesting, but also to communicate with more clarity and confidence, whether in the bar with friends or in that important meeting at work. Remember, the secret is practice. Start using these new tools in your day-to-day life without fear of making mistakes. After all, making mistakes is part of learning, and the important thing is not to give up. And speaking of not giving up, how about giving that smart like on this video if you enjoyed the tips? This way, you show me that you are enjoying the content and motivates me to bring even more secrets of English for you. And if you are not yet part of our class, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any new videos. Oh, and before I say goodbye, as usual, let's test your listening and comprehension skills. Prepare your ears for today's secret phrase. As far as I'm concerned, learning English. And then, were you able to catch it? Now write in the comments what you understood and complete the sentence in a creative and fun way. I want to see your imagination soaring high. And remember, with Learn English Secrets, English stops being a seven-headed beast and turns into a super fun adventure. Continue practicing and exploring the Learn English Secrets by watching this video or checking out this playlist right here. See you in the next video!